Hello everybody, I'm Michelle. Welcome to another video. I want to show you and make with you this bracelet. I put a little ruffle there on the side by my hand, and I designed with the cubes and the round spacer beads that I got from Beebeecraft. And I've just put a lobster claw and with jump rings for closure. And you know, I thought, wow, this would make an awesome choker. Maybe dangle something in the center. So that's another, and then put it, you know, make an extender, maybe make it a little longer. Then put an extender chain, like a chain, on to close it. You know, so you don't have to make it real big, but I thought that would make such a cute choker. Especially if I put like well, I've got these white drops. I had them out. What did I do with them? I've got all kinds of stuff out that I need to put away. Well, shoot. Not sure what I do with them for now. So let's go over the materials that we're going to need. Alright, so using these 4mm metal spacer beads in gunmetal. Alright, I use the antique copper ones in this bracelet. I'm going to use the 4mm cubes that I got from Beebeecraft, the crystal cubes. Alright, I thought these look real good together because they've got like a bronze and they've got like a gunmetal coating, like a finish. They've got silver, they've got like a purple. It's really cool. I don't know if that's picking that up on the camera, but. And then I'm going to be using two colors of 80 seed beads. I'm using a pearl off-white and this is called crystal slash brown, but it's a mauve purple color. And then I'm using 111 we need some 11 seed beads, opaque violet, and these are Czech preciosa seed beads. Okay, and then instead of the lobster claws, I think I'm going to do a bead and loop toggle. So, you know, you'll need about an 8mm fire polish bead or whatever crystal bead you want to use. I'm using a size 10 beading needle, and it's very thread intensive, so you're going to need, just put on your needle as much as you can handle. Alright, after you get your materials together, come back and we'll get started. Okay, so I've got all my materials laid out, except for the 11's. I don't have those laid out yet because we won't need those until later on. So I've got about a, I don't know, 11-inch tail, because I'll probably use that to sew in the one side of my clasp. Alright, and so we will pick up, I'm going to do white, purple, gunmetal spacer bead, crystal spacer bead, oops, spacer, oops, stay on there, and then go backwards from there, purple and white. So that's what I have on my needle, and we'll bring that down. Like that. Alright, and then we want to pick up a white and a purple. Go up through that purple and white from the spacer bead out. What we're doing is square stitch, a form of square stitch. And then we'll go back down through that 2 we just added. Okay, pull it snug, and then go through, and this will pull this to the center, more to the center. So go through the middle 3 beads. Actually, we would go through them all, making sure not to go through your stop bead. I've got a lot of thread here. Okay, make sure we get that. Then we'll pull it down. See how that pulls that right in the center of those 2? And so we're at the bottom now. We're going to pick up a white and a purple. And we're coming out the bottom. We're going to come from the center, closer to the center, down to the stop bead through those two 8/0 beads. There, the purple and the white. Right there. To add those other 2 8/0s. And then we'll have to use our tail thread, go back up through the 2 we just added, and then we'll head up through the center, three beads, go through the 3 center beads. And then up through that right side there of the 2, and get ready to put on the next row. There will be 2 sets of these 8/0s to 1 center row. So put on a white and a purple, go up through the bottom of those 2 seed beads, go down through the 2 we just added, and then we'll add a spacer bead, crystal spacer bead, and then a purple, and then a white. Okay, so let's look what we got. We're starting a new row, or, you know, a new section of 2 rows. So we're coming out of this bead, we're going to go up through those 2 beads on the bottom, okay. We will bring these over and hold them in place, and then we'll come over and go down through those 2 seed beads right there, these 2. Okay, now we gotta add another row, because there's, like I said, there's 2 sets of 2 seed beads on each pillar center. You know, it'll be in the center of two rows. And so we'll pick up a white, we'll pick up a purple. Coming out the bottom, we'll go down through the top of the beads we're coming out of. We're working out of 2s, the 2 8-ohs. And then we'll come back up through the ones we just added. And then we'll come up through the center row. 3 beads in that row and the 2 above it. That. And then we'll add the last 2, which will be the white and the purple. We'll add these last 2 beads to this set of 2 rows. Come back, we went up through, we're going to come back through the ones we just added. And then we need to pull this over in the center. We need to go down through those 3 beads, the 3 in the center. And then go down through that rightmost set of 2. And there's our second row. Alright, let's do it one more time. We just continue to add, you know, each 2, you know, 2 by 2. We just continue to add them like that, with one, and you know, the one crystal section in the center. Come down through there, we'll go up through. And then we'll pick up our middle section, which is the 3 beads, and then we'll pick up the purple and then a white. So it's a little different, you know, when we first start a new row. So we add our base on, which is the 2 beads. Then we pick up our middle and then the top 2 beads, the top 2 8-ohs, and then we connect them to the previous row. And we go up. Alright, now we got to put the second set of 2 on, so we can pull that middle row in the center of these 2. I don't know what just happened, but it can be fixed. Alright. Come back down those 2. And then come down through the center of this middle section. See how that pulled that right in the center of those 2 rows of beads? So then we need to come down through the bottom 2 also. So we'll have beads to hook on the last 2. And we'll do white and purple. We're coming out the bottom. We'll go through the top of the 2 seed beads. And then we'll pull, and then we'll go back up through those 2 we just added. And we'll go up through the center. Get up through as many as we can. And then we'll go up through that last bead there. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to do a few more rows with you because I only did a couple in the beginning, and for some reason I felt like I had to cut, something was going on, I had to cut it short. So, alright, now we're starting a new row. So I picked up a white and a purple 8/0 coming out up here. I'm going to go through the bottom. And then I'm going to come directly back down into the two I just added. Okay, and then I'm going to pick up a spacer bead, a crystal, and a spacer bead. And then I'm going to pick up a purple 8/0 and a cream colored 8/0. I'm going to slide them down. And then the thread's coming out down here out the bottom of the white. So we need to jump over and go up through the white and the purple. Okay. And then we need to come back down through the purple and the white seed bead. Like I said, we're working out of sets of 2. Oops. What happened? There we go. Now, we need to attach the other 2 so we can go back up and pull this in the center. So we're going to pick up a white and a purple. We're going to come back down through. Just go the opposite way that your thread's coming out. Okay, and then we're going to go back up through these 2. And then we're going to go up through the center. And then those 2 so we can attach our next 2. Make sure your thread's not stuck, and see how that pulls that right in the center of those two rows of seed beads. So now our thread's coming out up here, and so we need a white and a purple. And then we're going to come the opposite way that our thread's coming out. Needle up through those 2 beads. And then we're going to come back directly back down through the beads we just added. And then to pull this side, to pull this center row into the center of these 2 rows of beads, we're going to come back down through. If I can find the hole, I'll come back down through and then over to the right so we can add our next row. Okay, we'll do that one more time. Pick up a white and a purple, since we're coming out of the bottom of that white, and see if we put our beads, well, if we put our beads and we go like this, that's how we know we need the white first. We're coming out the end of that seed bead. We're going to go through the top of the 2 seed beads, the opposite direction. And then we're going to go immediately back up through these 2 seed beads and pull. And then we're going to pick up our spacer bead, our crystal, and our spacer bead. And then we need the purple and the white. Alright, and so we're going to bring these down and lay them up there and see the threads coming out the top. So we need to jump over to the top of this row, the previous row, and go down through. Okay, now we need to come back up through the ones we just added, and then to turn around, and because we need another set of 2, we need to pick up a white and a purple coming out the top. We want to go through the bottom and then directly back down through the 2 we just added. Now to pull this over to the center in between those 2 rows, we want to come down through the center beads and the bottom beads, so we can add our 2 more 8-ohs. Go through the opposite way, come back up through the 2 we just added. Now to pull the bottom of that center row into the center, to pull the bottom of this column into the center of these 2 beads, we just want to go back up through and then come over. Alright, so I've picked up 2, added them on, went down through, and then came back down through the 2 I just added. Okay, and this will be the last rows we add, okay, together. And we'll pick up the middle beads, and then we'll pick up the 2 8-ohs. And like I showed you before, when we bring them down, the thread's coming out the bottom there, so we'll need to go up through the bottom. And then we will come back down through the 2 we just added. And then we need to add 2 more, so we can go back up through and pull them in the center. So the thread's coming out the bottom, we'll go through the top, and then we'll go back up through the 2 we just added. And then we'll come up through the center. Oh, I got a big fly. Came in when I opened the door. Alright, So we're coming out the top. We'll go pick up 2 more seed beads. Coming out the top, we want to needle through the bottom. And then come back down through the 2 we just added. Make sure they're pulled together. And then come down through the middle pillar. And then we'll come over to the right set of 2. And that puts on the next row. Now in this bracelet, I added, see, because of the clasp, you know, it's a little bit, you know, it hangs down a little bit, which I like that. I like my bracelets like that. But we're going to be putting a toggle clasp, a bead toggle clasp on, so you can make it any size. You can make it just as big, or we can make it shorter, and therefore a little tighter, like this, if you like, however you like it. So on this bracelet, and like I said, it doesn't have to be this big. Like with a big toggle, you could draw it in. I made 30. I count 30 crystal, you know, 30 crystals. So I'm going to count that as rows, okay? Even though it's 2 side by side, this is still 1 row. So 30 rows. Okay, come back, and we'll do the next step. Okay, I've made 30. Component, or 30 rows, and you count them by just counting the center crystals, okay? And now I want to do the little fringe on the bottom. I've got a little knot here because I added, well, my thread got knotted, and I tried to cut. Anyway, I had to end up connecting it back together, so it might, with these little beads, it might be difficult. So what we're going to do is, let's see, how many did I add on this one? I think it was 12. So I'm going to pick up 12. These little Czech, the Preciosa, not the just regular Czech, but the Preciosa seed beads are so concise. They remind me a lot of Mayuki in the shape and size of them. I really like them. Except I think Mayuki's got a little bigger hole. I don't know if that's going to work. Alright, so what I will do is I'll add thread while you guys are with me. Show you how I add my thread. Okay, let me take these off. So, okay, I want to end this thread off first. See, this knot works with the 8/0 seed beads, but not with those little, I mean, those holes in those Preciosa seed beads are small. Okay, so I'm just reversing directions a few times in that same couple of beads. And then I'll move to the next bead, over the next row, and I'll do the same thing. And then maybe I'll tie 1/2 hitch knot just to try to make it as secure as possible. Just find a thread bridge between the thread between two beads, pull down a loop and needle through the loop, and then we will come up the next set of beads, and then we'll go back down the set we were started in, and then that should be good. And now I'm past that knot, but I do need a bigger piece of thread, so I'll go ahead and add another. So I'll clip that. I'll leave a tiny little tag to burn it, and then, oops, I'll be right back. I'm going to put the thread on my needle and come back and get it started with you. Alright, I got my thread, I got a stop bead on it. I left about a 6-inch tail to sew in. Alright, so maybe I'll start down at the other end since I did that end, tying it off. I don't want to get too much thread through the beads. So I'm just going to start, and I'm going to go up through those two, then I'll come down through the next two, and then I'll reverse directions here and up. Well, I'm actually reversing directions constantly here, and then I'll go back up through the end too. And then let's go up this center row. We went through those two end 8OC beads. And I'll come down the next two. I'll go up the next two. Just trying to get this thread sewn in, incorporated into the bracelet or the beads to where it's not going to come out. And then when I sew that end tail in, it'll make it even more secure. Let's see. And then we'll come down through these two, and then back down through that center row. We want to be coming out. Let's see. Let's go down this. When you come down out of that center, let's go on the right side. Those seed beads on the right side. See, I'm pulling, and the thread feels nice and secure. I'm going to go up these two, and then back down the ones on the edge. Alright, and we're ready to pick up our 12 seed beads. Okay. Now we're coming out of this end set of two. We're working out of 4. And we'll come up through that 4th set of 2 seed beads. like that. And then we'll come back down through the row that's right beside of it, right here. Getting caught on my pliers, or I mean my wire snips. Alright, and then we'll just pick up 12. See, we're the beads are going into this bead, we go around, and then the thread's coming out of the two right beside of it. We'll pick up 12 seed beads. And we're coming out there, we'll count over, including the one we're coming out of. 1, 2, 3, 4. And pull. And we want to pull tight enough to where you're not seeing thread, but not so tight that the beads all bunch up and don't look, they're too, I don't want them to be too bunched. So we're coming up through those two, and we're going to just come directly down into the next two. And pick up 12 more. And then we'll count over 1, 2, 3, 4 and come up. And then come right back down in the next set of 2. Now do that all the way across, come back, and we'll do the next step. Okay. So I finished putting my fringes on, and I am coming up out of that last set of 2 seed beads. Alright, I need to be coming out of the 3rd set of 2 seed beads to start our next row, so we'll come down through 1 of these 2. The top, we'll come down through the, here we go, we'll come down through 1, alright, and then we'll come over, straight directly over, and come down through that bottom bead of the 3rd row. These sets of 2 are pulled pretty tightly together, so it might take a little bit of working to get your needle in between. Okay, so I'm coming out of that 3rd set of 2 seed beads. I also brought out a drop that I think I'm going to put on row, or the 8th, the center loop. That's not it, I think it's that one. But we'll see when we get there. So let's pick up 12 seed beads. Alright, And then we're going to do same thing. We're going to work out of 4. The count with the one we're coming out of. That's 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, and then the 4th row. Go up. Oh, I hope I can get back out. Yes. Because I told you wrong, we got to come up under this other loop. Come up under and come up through that seed bead. There we go. And then we'll come directly down that next row on top. And then we'll pick up 12 more seed beads. And we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. Come up under. And then we'll come directly down on top that next row. And we'll pick up 12. And we'll count 4 and we'll go up under that loop. And then we'll come directly down that next row 2 seed beads on top. Alright. Do that for the first 7 rows. And come back, we'll add the drop since our thread will be up here close. And we'll go from there. Okay. So here we are. This is loop number 8. Alright, I just put on the last one, came up through this set of 2 and down. But I want to go back. So I'm going to go back up through. I'm trying to get I want to go down the next because I'm trying to work my way down to these seed beads down here. You don't have to put on this drop if you don't want, but I thought I thought about it last time with the first bracelet, and I really think it would be nice, so I decided to do it this time. So I'm working my way down to the 6th and 7th beads on this loop. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll be the next 2. 6 and 7. That's the center. Alright. Coming out of bead 7. Let's try this. Let's pick up, I got one of the spacer beads. And the drop. Well, let me bring the spacer bead down. and then the drop. And then we'll go back up through the spacer. And to draw it in the center, we will go back through. Let me get that halfway tight here. So we'll go back through, not number 7, we'll go through number 6 and 7 again. See if that works. Oops. Alright, and then now we'll just reinforce by going through the same thread path. So we'll go down through the spacer, we'll go through the drop and then back up through the spacer. And then back through these two, number 6 and number 7. Try to pull it to the center of those 2 beads. I hope I can get back through with this needle. Small, small holes. And there we go. Now we'll go back. Oops, it's not even in camera, huh? Let's see. Now we'll go back up the seed beads, and we need to be coming out right here. So let's go up these other 5 seed beads. Here we are. And then we'll go up these 2. And then we'll come back down these 2. And we'll be back on track to finish our loops. Let's see, I'll do 1 or 2 more with you. 1, 2, 12 seed beads. Alright, and then we will count over 4 and go underneath. Make sure it's not pulled too tight. And there we go. Okay, continue, and then we got to come down through the next 2 seed beads on top of the loops, and pick up 12 more seed beads. I'll do this last one with you. And then we'll count over 4 and go up under that loop what's going on here. And pull. Now, and then come down through the next 2 seed beads. Alright. So finish that up. Come back, we'll do the next step. Okay, so we got our last little loop fringe on, and we're coming up out of the 3rd bead. So we need to come down, or the 3rd set of beads. So we need to come down the next set of 2 seed beads, and then go up the last, and then go up the, well, I'll have to do it separate. Oh. And then go up the center, and then go up the last set of 2 seed beads. Okay. Excuse me. And then we will see how you can really see that black thread. And this is optional, you don't have to do this, but I think it looks pretty to outline it with seed beads. So we'll pick up 1 seed bead, we'll come up under the thread bridge, and then we'll needle up through that seed bead. If I can get it, let's see. Here we go. Try to hold those tail threads out of the way. It'll be easier once I get past. Alright, then we pick up another. And it'll probably take 2 seed beads to each thread bridge. Under the thread bridge, and then come back up through that bead, needle up through that bead. Oops, these holes are so small. There we go. And pull it down like that. Pick up a seed bead. Go to the next thread bridge, go underneath of it, and needle up through that seed bead. Alright, and so because we have a 12-inch tail thread over here to sew on our clasp, and we don't have any on the other side, that's why I'm doing this. I'm going to work my way all along the top, adding seed beads just like I just showed, and when we get down at this end, we'll go ahead and put that side of the clasp on, and then we'll use our tail thread to add the other side of our clasp. Alright? Okay, so we got the top row done, and now I've decided to use a gold toggle clasp to end off the bracelet for the closure. So we're coming out of the top of this purple bead, this 11-0. So let's see, we want to go back down through the previous 11-0 and the 8-0 underneath it, and then we'll come across and go back through that 8-0, the 2 8-0s. Make sure that slides down in between. And then we'll come down and go, we want to be coming out of the cube. It's going to be hard to do. There we go. Alright. So then we'll just pick up a couple of 11-0s. We need one 8-0. Do you want to come? And an 8-0. And then we'll pick up our clasp. And then we'll come down, back down through the 8-0. And we'll pick up 2 more 11-0s and go through the opposite side of that cube. What's going on here? Okay, then we'll go back and reinforce. I'll go through the loop of the toggle. And then we'll go back through the 8-0 and then the 2 11-0s and the cube. Goodness. And then we probably should reinforce one more time. I don't know if, there we go. Okay. Now, let's go under that thread bridge and tie a half hitch knot. And then come down through that first 8-0. And then we'll come back up. Or come up the second 8-0. And then we'll come back down through, if we can get through it, that first 8-0. And second. Come down. and back up. Let's go up into that spacer bead. Let's tie a half-hitch knot. Oops, what happened? Something didn't go right. Did I don't know what I did. Let me try to go. I'll probably make it worse here. So yeah, I'm going to have to take my needle off, but just go work your way over and tie some half-edge knots up through these center rows. And then you'll do the other side of your toggle just like you did this side, out of that cube, adding 2 11/0s and 1 8/0. Okay, you could use your long tail to do that on that side. Alright, and then sew in your tail threads. Come back and we'll look at our bracelets. Here's our bracelet. Okay, and here's the first one I made. Okay, I think I like the drop and the toggle clasp on it. What do you think? Do you like the drop? And also, this would make a really pretty choker, I think. All you would have to do is, instead of the toggle clasp, put some chain on both sides and a lobster claw. Alright, well there we go. There's our square stitch with a ruffle bracelet, and I hope you like it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.